you guys, and hey, I'll be honest, this is I haven't talked about this a ton, and I don't like talking about it, but I'm gonna give you the last year in a whole, okay, and how it's the ups and downs, the roller coasters of life, you know, and just it's been a crazy year, and so two and a half years ago, my mom before Christmas got diagnosed with cancer, very bad, stage 4, did not look good. Just 2 days before Christmas. We went to Christmas up in Chicago. She didn't feel good. 2 days later, man, we're in the ER. She's got fluid around her heart and lungs. This is 4 days after being diagnosed with the breast cancer. I remember being in the ER and thinking, man, the surgeon came in and you could tell it was, man, this was it. This was now or never. They're gonna go have surgery, get it off her heart as best if they can. But I remember leaving out of there. And we come to a T, and that's your mom laying on the thing. And I gotta go right, and she's gotta go left. And you don't know what's gonna happen. That's a terrible feeling, right? She came out of it. Okay, the surgery went well, but obviously at that point, everything starts. Chemo, radiation, and they had to hit it the next day, because it was pretty severe. For that year, you know what? They never probably thought she'd make it past the year. She was fully healed. It was unbelievable what God had done. That's about this time last year. This time last year, she was feeling really good. Things were looking up. Her body was clean. You know, and everything was good. Sometime in the summer, you know, she was doing good going on trips. You could tell something late July. It's about when football starts for me, Dad. So, man, once July hits, late July, it's go time for our family. It's just, you know, as a football coach, my dad, me, your life is ruled by the calendar. And what I mean is, man, right now is kind of our off time, and it's our dead time. Summer, fall's obviously the fall, and it's the same rhythm, which is good. But it is what it is, and so late July you're ready to start going, and going out with Mom, you could tell something in her mind was not going right. Different times she would just get off kilter, and doctors kept saying chemo brain, and so they went in. Long story, went to her brain. You know, obviously was not good. So before the season started, we knew going into it. Me and Dad really knew, and other people knew. But it was not good, and it was just a matter of time. So the season, going into the season, obviously, like I said, her story was, as you guys saw, a lot of you, some of you haven't, man, was out there. And God, it's funny how God works, and God gave us those 2 good years with her, because really she probably shouldn't have made it after that Christmas. She shouldn't have been too long with what she had, and. But it's funny how God gave me a football season this year that was as perfect as we didn't throw an interception or have a turnover for 10 games. Now, that's kind of like being healed by the Lord. That's very close when you talk about the chances of that happening. Because I think God knew I couldn't handle it, right? God knew I couldn't do what I was doing with my mother and handle a football season like that, you know, and I thank him for that, because I don't know if I could, because during the week, man, it was going to see her maybe 3 or 4 times a week, and we kind of live closer to Rochester, so it's 20 minutes, and I got 2 little kids, I got football practice, I'm in school from 6 to 6, and then I gotta find time to see my mom. I gotta take some days off. Dad, God gave Dad a little bit more. He's a little tougher. He's a little better than me. That's why we beat him. That's why God let him. Right? And because he knew he could handle it better than I could. And so it was a rough year when it came to everything and everything you look into. The Griffin week, which is always tough for me and Dad, regardless of what Mom was going through. Every year it's tough. We don't like it. That's who we are. You know, on this earth, we're football coaches, and that's what we talk about. You know, hey, we all talk about something. We all have interest, right? And that's what we talk about. So we hate that year, but this year obviously was different, and the attention was brought on her, and I think that's what she knew, and she didn't want. She never would have wanted that. Any of you who know her, but I think God used it. I mean, you talk about discipleship and putting stuff out there now, and teaching people about the Lord through a story. And I know on 1450 it was the most hits ever, almost times ever on 1450 was her story and her video in that week, and that's awesome. I mean, because now that game meant so much more than just a game, right? It's a game to a lot of people around here, and it's a big game, it's a fun game, but it meant so much more. And just how that day went, you know, and you hate it as a coach, but man, you know, hey, before the game, and the kids and the crowd, you know, didn't matter who you were involved in it. I said God let us win, so that was good. And as the year went on, she obviously got worse, and so it was tough. My season, obviously, thank the Lord, went long, you know, and she got to experience some things. And that whole time, the longer we went, the more her story was told. Then we make the state championship, and obviously now her it's on a statewide, which a lot of people in the state knew anyways. We won the state championship. It was all good. But probably from that time on, my dad got a field named after him during the year. I mean, it was just perfect. It was a perfect year when it came away from her. That wasn't perfect, right? But we knew that's how it was going to be. And so there was a lot of things that her name got out there, and that's what she that's what she wanted. She didn't tell me that always. I knew that's what she wanted. She just wanted to know that I loved her and she loved me. She always told Dad, I want God to be glorified in the story at the end. When it's all done, I want everyone to know about Jesus. And after state championship, Thanksgiving, man, it went south fast. And we got through Christmas, you know, and Christmas, the day before Christmas, man, she gutted it out somehow, and the kids were there, and that's just her. If you know her, she would be yelling at my dad, and she is the sweetest human being. She's the most, Teddy Lee, my godfather, knows her, worked with her forever. She's the sweetest person ever. And you didn't realize she was our rock always. And my dad was kind of the one who led us to become Christians, true Christians. But my mom was really the one who walked the talk and was the rock. And if you knew her, it was like you were in the presence on earth with you. That she was a walking Jesus to us. And everything she did with love, and it didn't matter who you were and what you were about, she loved you. And that's just, you could be a stranger, you could be her best friend. She was going to treat you the same. But that Christmas, man, she got through it somehow. And then after Christmas, boom, it was over 4 days later, and that was it. And then the funeral, man, and that was tough because but the funeral, man, we were there for just to, and part of it was being us who we were, but even more, it spoke who my mom was. We were there for 5.5 hours. It was the longest one Butler had ever done. That was our mother, and that was with it ran smoothly in a gym. It wasn't at a funeral home, and I think there was over 7,500, 8,000 Facebook views for her funeral, and just the people she touched, and how she touched all of us through my father. She like I said, my dad has a lot of great things. He's a great coach, but man, she was the moving factor in everything. She would always tell me, "You gotta treat everyone right, nice, Ken, be good." She was that one. And she was the same way with me. And you always remember that. That's just how you did things. So the funeral, hey, it was tough. It was the toughest thing I've ever had to go through. And we've all been there with somebody you probably loved, family members, probably a lot with cancer. And that was as hard as it gets, losing your mother. But then, hey, you know what? After that, it was amazing how many people you realize she touched, and the people she went through, and how many people got to hear the word of God or got to see example of God through her. And they realized that because how strong she was. You talk about walking the walk and discipleship, everything Bernie talked about was her on this planet for me. And she was this for a lot of people. She was a kindergarten teacher on the east side. I mean, I don't even remember my kindergarten teacher. It was amazing how many people came through and said, man, she was the best teacher. She changed my life. She was our kindergarten teacher. She wasn't even the teacher, she was the aide, right, Teddy?
Yeah, she was the aide.
She was the aide. And how many people came through and said, man, she changed my life as a kindergarten teacher. And then after that, it's amazing how God works, even, you know, and He helps you and He picks you up. He knows what you can handle and what you can't.
Right.
Me and Dad got to go to the Super Bowl. And we've never been to, you know, people take care of us. He's been to South Carolina. We've talked, you know, we've done a lot of things and a lot of cool things. And he's been distracted a little bit, which you have to do. Because you lose that person, the house is empty. God's got to take care of you a little bit, right? It's not simple. It's not easy. And just, it's so from this time last year, and then you go through, but I'll tell you I'll end with this, the last thing. I just had my birthday at Easter. And that was tough, right? Because that was the first holiday, first thing that I didn't have my mother, who was, my dad forgot my birthday, she wouldn't have told me. You know, okay, so that's where we're at. But so it was tough not having that. But I'll say this, the worldly, being a coach, being a teacher, being a father, the world got me through those 2 days, right? It was tough. But I've had grinds in my life. I've had things in my life that I realized, man, you got to tough through, right? We got to get through it. Even though it's hard, we got to get through it. And I think the world could have gotten me through that. What the world could not have got me through is when she was laying in that box. And I don't know how people do it. If I didn't know she was going to heaven, I don't know how I would handle it today. But I knew she was going to heaven, and there's nothing in this world, nothing on this earth that could have got me through that moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Except for knowing she's in heaven with Jesus.
Hallelujah.
That is the only thing. Because everything else, like I said, I can get through. I'm tough. I'm thick-skinned, right? I'm a coach. I've seen it all. I've been through hard times. I got kids that, we've been through it. But when that happens, when the ultimate happens, when your loved one dies, when you die, but especially when your loved one dies, if you don't know where they're going, if they didn't believe in Jesus Christ, and there was a question in my mind, I don't know how I would deal with that. And there's nothing that prepares me for that. So I hope that helps. If you got any questions, I'll take them. But thank you for your time, and I appreciate Bernie and everyone you guys having me and letting me speak. So God bless you. Thank you.